you're in a position, we were talking about leadership, and you're in a position of leadership where you're currently at. What is it that you see that you think makes a good leader in the insurance industry, but just in general? Like, what is it that you think, like, what are the qualities of leadership?
Yeah. I think I'll speak about it maybe more in general. I think obviously a good leader in the business, whatever the business is, you got to know about the business and be able to bring certain ideas or figure out how to motivate folks in whatever that business is and help them succeed. So maybe that's the insurance part of it. The personal part of it is, I could be wrong here. This is my theory, my philosophy, whatever. I think that people that are in leadership, there's basically two types of people, two buckets. One are the people that they can't not do it. They're just wired to do it, right? There's just something in them that has the qualities of a good leader, which maybe I'll get into what I think they are. And then there are some that want to be a leader. And a lot of times the people that want to be a leader, they're in it for the wrong reasons, I think. They're in it for the title or the position or the power or the whatever it is, right? And I just don't believe that's what makes a great leader typically. I think a great leader is really more about how do I help people? How do I get them to a place where they didn't think they could get to? And it's less about the leader and sort of this stick and whipping people around, and more about how do I get people to come along and to follow, right? And how do I get them to be as successful as they can be, because I'm interested in the people that I'm leading, versus I think the people that tend to want to be leaders are the ones that are interested in them as a leader.
Right. Interested in how do you make me look good? What are you doing for me? And what are you doing for my organization versus how can I help you?
Yeah. And I think a good leader in many aspects, but one is when things go wrong, I'm out constantly like, this is my fault. What did I do to get us to this spot? Or I'm going to take the responsibility versus like, Johnny didn't do whatever. That's why we're in this position. Right.
Right.
And then when things go really well, and I've been in these situations where I know I did something to help something be successful, but I'm not going to take the credit for it. I'm going to give Johnny did this, right?
Yeah.
So I just think it's a lot less selfish than selfless. So
yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like a good leader takes the responsibility for things that you didn't directly do, but maybe your team did, right? The buck stops with me.
Even if you could say,
right,
it actually was someone else's fault.
I learned that lesson early on in my career. I had a customer that they were mad about something, and the customer service person helped them. They were still upset about it. They came on to me. I was helping them, and I was like, "Yeah, so and so shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. They made a mistake, but we'll get this fixed, right?" And I was just trying to smooth it over. Yeah, exactly. But that staff person heard me throw them under the bus, and she didn't forget that. And when she quit a few months later, I was like, "Why are you quitting? Like, you're doing a great job. I love having you here." And she's like, "I don't believe that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "I heard what you said to the so-and-so about me and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." Like I was like, I think you do a great job. I was just trying to smooth over situation. And at that moment I realized like, that's not okay. Right. So ever since then, when there's an issue, and I've had customers even tell me like, "Well, it's not your fault, Andy. So-and-so did it." And I'm like, "No, it's my fault. I'm the agent. I'm the boss. If they did it, it's because I didn't train them right, or because I didn't set the right expectation. So I'm sorry. I'll fix it. It's my fault. It's my problem." But it's difficult, right? Because to your point, right? If you're in a position of leadership because you want to be the big man,
that person can't do what you just said because they are about their perception as the big man or whatever, right? Or big woman, whatever. But yeah. And
then on the flip side, like you said, so the leader actually becomes the small guy in a way.
I think the best leaders they act that way. Like obviously there are other aspects of leadership, but and if you're good at it and you know what you're doing and you can add value, then obviously people are going to follow you. So there is definitely a leadership quality that you need. You can't just be like the doormat, right?
Sure.
But I do think you have to approach it in a sense that it's not about you, it's about the team. And I was actually in a conversation on the way here, talking about this exact topic. And the truth is, being a leader, sometimes it's not all that fun. It's hard work. It's a pain. There's a lot of words I can use. Which,
not all of them will say.
Yeah, not all of them will say. But my point is, like, you can't not do it. Like, it's just in you. Like, you're gonna do it, right? You're gonna find whatever position is. You could leave. Like, I could leave RT. I'm not going to, but I could leave, go somewhere else, and I guarantee you, I might resist leadership opportunities, but at some point, I'm going to say yes to it because I can't not do it, right? The difference, I think, is someone that's wired for it. You do get something out of it, even though it's hard. It's fun to see success and especially see others, do that and know that you were part of it, you were supported it, right? And that's how I view it, versus taking the credit for it, right? But the person that wants to do it, I think I've seen this, like, they get into it and they end up being a really bad leader, or they end up just like quitting and like they're not going to do it anymore because it's hard work. It's hard to take all that stuff that is now your responsibility. I would call it stuff, but so I think again, I almost feel like, can you develop good leadership qualities? Yes, I do believe that, but I think some people are wired to just be leaders. I believe that. So.
Yeah, I think some people are just naturally going to flow into that leadership. But I mean, it is something like you have a couple of boys. Yep. They're in sports. Yeah. We were talking about that, just the craziness of that life. But leadership falls in that, and that's part of what sports teaches, right? Is that leadership? What do you see, or the correlation between how you interact with your sons? And also, what does that mean or translate? I mean, it's different, right? Because obviously you love your boys. Yeah. You might care for your employees, but it's not going to be, or people that work with you. But like, how do you see that transition or overlap of that?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of overlap between parenting, leading in a business context, and coach. I coach as well. So I coach basketball teams and now baseball, which I've really enjoyed. But there are definite correlations, right? There's, sometimes when you're leading people, and I don't mean this in some derogatory way, but sometimes it does feel like leading children. I don't mean it like I think they're childish, but there are aspects of it of how you might approach a situation with your kids. You're not going to treat them like your kids, or maybe you'd say things differently than you would your kids, but you're trying to develop them. It's just why you're trying to develop your kids. You're trying to instill certain values in them. You're trying to motivate them. You're trying to show them, and teach them, some core tenets that are going to help them be successful. So I think there's a lot of correlation.
Well, and I think, like, as you were talking there, I was just thinking about it, like when you're teaching your sons a sport, right? I'm assuming you're probably coaching them, or if you're teaching them how to ride a bike, or you're going through math homework with them, or whatever. As you're guiding them and coaching them in life, your goal is for them to be better. And it doesn't matter for you. Like, it's not like they're not learning how to swim for you. They're not learning math for you. They're doing it for themselves, and you find reward in helping somebody develop a skill that's new, which I think that's what you were saying there, that correlation and the overlap in the business world. When you're working with somebody who's maybe it's their first time trying to figure out how to put a property schedule together, and you're walking them through it and you're coaching them through it, or if they had a bad interaction with an agency, and you can say, okay, let's approach it differently next time. Here's some different ways to have that conversation. It's not because it makes your life better, it's because it makes them more successful in their work.
100%. And I also just say, like, I made a lot of mistakes, in my time, including as a leader. Like, especially new leaders, you're going to make mistakes. But yeah, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing that. Whether it's, I have a kid on my basketball team 2 years ago. He played 90 seconds a game, and 60 seconds in, he's waving me down like, "Coach, get me out of here." Like, he was overwhelmed by it, right? And now, fast forward, all this hard work, and some of it, maybe I have a part in it as his coach, but some of it's just him grabbing on and working hard and taking what's being taught to him, whether it's by me or he's got another coach that's helping him. He's a starter this year on my team, which is amazing. Like, that doesn't happen very often, but that's an amazing thing to see in someone. And that's really rewarding to see someone develop like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's probably, like you said, that there's satisfaction as a leader. And I think that's probably what you recognize when you're a natural leader, is that you get your satisfaction not from your own success, but from seeing the success of others. Whereas, the star player, they have their satisfaction from when they achieve their goals.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, I have my own goals, and it'll be great for us to hit those goals. I think I mentioned earlier, our office was doubling every 5 years. I want that again, even as part of, now I'm office president of an office for RT. I want to see our office double. Now, part of it is because of what we just talked about. I want to see our people grow and their teams grow and their books of business grow. But I also have I like to win,
Yeah.
So I want that. So it's not completely void of some
It's not all altruistic
goals, if you will, but it's done, in my opinion, the best way is in a less selfish way, right? So